Okay, called meeting to order. Can you join me in the pledge, please? Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, first order of business tonight, swear in Papa Tinker. He ran the unexpired term, the balance of the term from when Matt Yeager was elected and resigned. Adam had been filling that in. Adam is going to be back in January. He ran for a 4-year term and was elected. So, Bob.
Yes.
Right hand, please. Oops, wrong, sorry. State your name.
I, Bob Singer,
Solemnly swear and affirm to support the Constitution of the United States.
solemnly swear and affirm
Faithfully discharge the duties of office of trustee
faithfully discharge the duties of the office of trustee
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
Congratulations. Adam will be back in January and I'll be gone. How about that?
That's not. You gotta get your, you gotta push the.
There you go. Okay. Now we need to sign, Bob.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Then we need to sign them. Okay.
Okay. Give it to Lisa before it gets lost in my papers. All right, we'll continue. Guess we'll start off with Holly. You want to give your report?
Good evening, everyone. As you know, we have put out draft 3 of the strategic plan, along with a change log that identifies each comment that we received between draft 2 and draft 3, and a response to each of those comments. We met with the steering committee tonight at 6 p.m., knowing that it was just going to be a brief moment that we could meet tonight, but to determine our next course of action. So at this point in time, the committee has identified 2 additional meetings to review this draft. They will be meeting on December 11th at 4:30 p.m. and on January 15th at 4:30 p.m. That is subject to me talking with Ashley to make sure the room is available. It looked like it was online, but I just want to, I'll get with you and figure that out. But those are our tentative dates. Tonight, in the brief moment that we were able to meet, Maureen did an excellent job of going through the comments that we received, identifying that the overarching theme that everyone was identifying in the document was the concept of minimal versus appropriate density, and that there needs to be further conversation about that, both at the steering committee level and at the trustee level. Something that isn't going to be resolved tonight, but to continue those conversations to understand the direction that we should go with that. And then we also went through all the items that had changes that we said, we understand that comment, we're going to make this change in response to that comment, we got through all of those and the committee agreed with what changes we made for those. And I'm going to respond back to the individual person who made that comment, or if it was a steering committee member that had a one-on-one conversation, that person's gonna get back with them so that there's some one-on-one conversation. But then there's several items in the change log that said to be discussed because we as consultants didn't feel like we should be making that decision. It needed to have a further conversation with the steering committee. And so those items we didn't have time to get to tonight, so that those will start to be discussed at the December 11th meeting. So that's kind of where we are and what our next steps are.
Questions?
What was the general response to the changes that were made in chapter 4, the economic development chapter?
Yes, generally, we heard that it was a much improved chapter. That it was better aligned with what expectations were for the community and not necessarily aligning with the One Columbus, Jobs Ohio, Delaware County, only that we would utilize those services when appropriate and when aligning with the township's priorities. So they felt very comfortable with that. I don't think everyone had enough time to fully digest the document to say, hey, we 100% agree with this, but the general thought was that it was much improved. And so I felt positive about that.
I think it's important to note that the township is not driven by the priorities of these external organizations to the township, but that we're driven by our own priorities and use these organizations as tools or as helpers in the process, as advisors. But we hoe our own row.
Yep,
Mhm.
I agree.
Yep, I agree too. Any other comments? Public got any comments before we move on?
This is a great time for the public to weigh in on this.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Oh.
Yes, please.
Thanks, Holly.
You're welcome.
Bruce Harris, 9773 Coven Drive, Harlem Township. So, as I've shared in the past 2 meetings, I compliment all of you for your efforts. I've been through these before, and the stick-to-itiveness that you've exhibited is to be commended. Holly, I'm glad you shared that it's a framework, trying to set a framework. In that process, this gentleman was correct. Once you begin to see it on paper, folks can respond in a different, more granular manner. The notion of low density, minimizing density is what our community is, what it's about. And we all know that. So I had an opportunity to take some time to respond to low density, particularly in the southwest corner of the township. And there's a particular tract that's very near and dear to my heart that we believe the development of that tract needs to be more in line with the overall context, not only of the streets that border that, but also the properties that are along that edge of the southwest corner, wherein those lots are large lots, single-family homes, and it should remain a residential type of environment. Single family is what we would like to see, what we're advocating for. And hopefully the plan will eventually roll into that type of category because it responds to what the community is all about. You said it. You're here for us, to represent us, and that's where our trust is. So we'll be fighting with you to hopefully make those things come to pass. I've had some exhibits. I sent some of these to some of the folks in the trustees. Is it okay to pass these out or to just leave them out? But I'll do something very real quick. Only got 1 minute left. I'll leave this here, but I put together a quick board.
Could you just share with us your background, Bruce, a little bit? I think
okay,
that'd be
yes.
helpful.
I am a registered architect, 38 years. Paris Architects, I'm retiring at December, this December. But I was also appointed by 2 consecutive mayors in the city of Columbus to the city's Development Commission as well as the Board of Zoning. So I've been through the process. I understand what it takes to do a plan to make it work. But at the same time, as you've heard, the plan is shaped by you. And it's not going to happen if you don't speak up and if you don't press. We heard a statement about, well, it's law. Well, laws can change, and they will change if we press forward in terms of what we need to see happen. And we need to respond and maintain the character of what our community is. So I put together a little illustration. There's one particular lot here on the southwest corner. We see this as another gateway and entry into Harlem Township as we come across the viaduct, but it's really another type of front door. So the properties here in the southwest corner, although it's zoned residential cluster, just quite frankly, they're multi-million-dollar homes in that quadrant. To have anything less than a reflection of those type of attributes of development, which we encourage, it needs to fit within that type of context. So we're extremely sensitive to a high density type of development, which just doesn't fit. In classic zoning terminology, not only within the United States, but globally, it's called spot zoning. And it's something that we really need to avoid in order to keep Harlem Township the great place that it is. We moved here 18 years ago because where are you going to find that in this part of Ohio? We've had other people move into the community and they love it. It's like coming home to a park. When you move into those high density types of development, multifamily development, common wall developments, those arterials cannot support the type of traffic that's going to happen there. The carbon footprint is going to be damaged. Natural environments will be damaged. Our trustees know this, but the framework is such that how do we develop this not only just at large, but how do we balance those type of residential environments so that Harlem stays the way it wants to be. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So my wife taught me that one. So I'll just leave this with you.
Yeah.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
I'm sorry I went past 3 minutes. Thanks, Holly.
Thank
Well done.
you.
I'll go back that way.
He's talking about the property off of,
Jim Reed's.
yeah, which is not in an overlay,
Which is one.
not in an overlay.
It's in the clustered conservation.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments before we move on? Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the financials. Lisa?
November 2025. Financials, October bank reconcile, balanced again, it's sitting up there for signature. Appropriation status ledger and the cash summary year-to-date reports have been emailed and posted online. Approved warrants and vouchers according to the payment listing report, starting with warrant number 14136 through warrant 14158. Voucher number 244-2025 through voucher 248-2025. Total amount $41,397.66.
You have a motion to approve?
I move to approve resolution 25-1119T-001, the approval of warrants and vouchers.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion been moved and seconded. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Okay, so the BWC decided to approve 12.3% base rate increase for townships effective January the 1st, 2026 rate year. So our estimated around $22,379. It was last year about a little over 17,000. So it's jumped up. But if we pay it in full by January the 2nd, we will receive a 2% deduction. So that's what I'm asking.
Okay, do
To
I
be
have
able
a
to pay it.
motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Approve the 2025 health, dental, and vision insurance plans with no rate changes, including Columbus Chambers estimated annual fee of up to $900 for the health insurance pricing. And for Burnham and Flowers to process HRA insurance claims for $5 per person per month. Authorize Lisa Hersey to sign the necessary paperwork on behalf of the trustees.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
All 2025 invoices must be turned into the fiscal's mailbox by December the 12th at 3:30 PM. This will be the last 2025 check run until we open the books back up in January of 2026. Please utilize the credit card for emergency expenditures if necessary. After the deadline passes of December the 26th, please continue to put invoices, checks, etc. into my mailbox, because I always do every 2 weeks a check run, so that's not gonna change. So I don't want people holding on to it going, oh, we gotta wait on the books to open to give her the invoices or checks or anything.
Okay.
And I will throw out an email to the department heads and let them know too.
Okay.
That's it.
All right, trustee business, we need a motion to accept the resignation of Alan Zako.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Motion to approve Keith Campbell to be an unpaid volunteer BZA member.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Motion to approve Marine as a unpaid volunteer for zoning commission member.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, need approval to request the posting of Duncan Run Road for frost limits. This is gonna be effective March 1st to June 1st. There'll be a load reduction of 50%. We'd had a complaint about trucks cutting through that way. And checking with county engineer, we can't post the road and there's no teeth in it. It's not enforceable. This is our only alternative and it won't take effect till February. So I'd like to have a motion to approve that.
Make the motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, motion carried. Administrative,
Approval of the trustee meeting minutes from October 2nd, special trustee meeting, October 15th, regular trustee meeting, October 29th, special trustee meeting, November 12th at 4 o'clock, special trustee meeting, and then the November 12th at 7 PM, special trustee meeting, please.
okay. Any comments on those minutes or a motion to approve?
Motion.
I'll second it. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
I'd like to abstain.
motion carried. Fire Department, Chief O'Brien, you're up.
Can I, two things real quick on
Sure.
trustee business, just
All right.
information. The trustees voted a couple of meetings ago to establish accounts with Delaware County Foundation to enable charitable giving to the township. And so this evening, those two accounts have been established preliminarily. So there's a general account for Harlem Township, and there's a Harlem Township Parks account. The actual establishment officially of that account will require some paperwork to be accomplished, which should be accomplished before the end of the year. However, the Delaware County will immediately accept checks into both of those accounts if residents desired to receive a tax break in this calendar year. So what you would do is you would write your check to the Delaware County Foundation, and in the MIBA line, you would put Harlem Township General or Harlem Township Parks. In the future, there will also be an opportunity, once the account is established, to give via credit card online. And so that mechanism has been established. Secondly, today, the Ohio Department of Development held a webinar about a program called Residential Economic Development Districts. And basically, there's $10 million that's available in 2026 and 15 and 27 for communities, townships, municipalities, et cetera, that reside within 20 miles of a mega development. That's a development that basically is bringing in 700 jobs, and there are a couple other qualifications, but we would qualify as far as that is concerned. However, as the conversation unwound, it became apparent that their real focus is on what I'm going to call workforce housing. And there were some requirements that I think were disqualifying for us. So in other words, they would want us to create a pro-housing development policy, that we would remove or identify barriers to accelerate housing production in the township. They wanted us to move towards setback minimums and to require less open space, not more. And they wanted us to be open to modular or manufactured homes. And to me, those were all non-starters. There's no way that Harlem Township is going to walk down that path and even submit an application. But I felt it was important that we at least learn about this and see if these grants might be available to us. But I don't think that this recent legislation would be to our benefit. So this is by way of information. Okay, that's the only two things I
Okay,
mentioned.
thank you. Chief?
Thank you, trustees. Before we get to all the resolutions, just a few updates, I guess, if you will, that I didn't get to Ashley in time. We've started the installation. Electricity has been running for a new gear dryer. Before we could wash it, but we would just hang it dry. So this is more efficient, a better way to do it. We can also dry fire hose if it's wet, and all items in there. So we'll be adding that here in the next month. Contract with Columbus Mutual Aid is back. We'll be meeting with them after Thanksgiving to hone it down a little bit, or to see exactly what we're going to do for each other. But we felt that was proactive with the new station coming in, that we should start partnering with them. And then very quickly, we're getting tomorrow morning, we're having cancer screening for all eligible full-time employees. And this is a blood screening that can be done by tests to look for markers. And if you would indulge, just like to turn it over to Chief McKean for just a couple minutes to tell you more about it and why we're doing it.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, trustees. Yeah, we learned about this at the Chiefs County Association meeting a couple months ago, and it's called a gallery test, a multi-cancer screening detection test. We did a similar test earlier this year, but it was strictly for esophageal cancer. It was free. However, the process was not very friendly to some members. So it did not go as well. And when we learned about this test, it screens for multiple cancers, and all it requires is 2 blood draws. So this is going to be an expense that Chief O'Brien has accepted for the full-time members. The part-time members are eligible to do it on a self-pay basis, which is a $650 test. It is still down. That's still a discount from basically about a $1,000 test. It screens for up to 50 cancers. It's early detection, as I said, includes bladder cancer, colon cancer, esophageal cancer, lung cancer, ovaries, stomach cancer. And just in general, you may be aware, but just in case it's not obvious, that firefighters are at a much higher risk for cancer due to the profession and the things that they are exposed to in their job. So we feel that this is well worth the investment. We do have available a testimonial from the company that's about 3 minutes long, if you wish to see it. It involves a local firefighter in Violet Township who did this test and had an early detection for esophageal cancer. And because of the early detection, he just had to have a procedure done. Ultimately, extending his life. He didn't even have to go through chemo or radiation. If you don't want to see it, we don't have to present that. But, and even for our younger members, our newer full-time members that are just getting on, at the very least, you would hope that they would have a negative response, but it gives them a good baseline going into this career. So like I said, that will take place. It's going to start at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. They will be here early, getting started, and we're very excited about this. And the last thing I will say is we did make it available or make other departments aware of it. We reached out to our neighbors to let them know about it. Westerville, Genoa was at the county meeting, Johnstown and New Albany. I don't know that anybody's taken us up on it, but they, of course, we're still going to have to do the self-pay.
Does this apply to probationary members as well of the department?
Any member that is currently a full-time member, yes. Anybody that is being added tonight, no. Does that answer your question, trustee?
Yeah, you don't have to sell me on the importance of this. I think it's vital. Are our firefighters required to do yearly physicals?
With the new contract, they are, yes.
Okay, and I would assume there's a blood draw in that physical?
There is.
Okay,
In that new contract, there's a complete physical, and then they'll get a bonus for passing the physical, non-tobacco usage, and what was the other? There's one more. There's three things. It's new, so I apologize. I believe it's a health and wellness workout to encourage that.
great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Chief.
Okay, gentlemen, we have been discussing this. We've been discussing staffing needs, staffing, sustainability without fiscal burden on our taxpayers, our residents, our citizens, our customers, if you will. And having done so and done that, we, for the first time that I'm aware of in this department, we did a very comprehensive testing system. We advertise for full-time firefighters, we advertise for permanent part-time firefighters and part-time firefighters. Anybody that was currently a permanent part-time employee or a part-time employee was eligible to apply. And also too, as we're doing a revamp, the permanent part-time people that applied were not guaranteed to retain their permanent part-time spot. They'll still get a part-time pickup spot, but we had a big pool. So as we'd been hiring people, our pool was small, and now we've got a larger pool. If there were more qualified applicants, we wanted to move those into those spots. So the resolutions you have before you are to fill the spots that we need, the 3 additional full-timers, 3 additional permanent part-timers, and 1 part-timer. We've already had a couple individuals who I believe will be resigning because they did not retain their permanent part-time spots. They've both called off their last 2 shifts. So with that being said, I'd like to start approval to hire full-time probationary firefighter Craig Downey. I would like to say a little bit about each one very quickly. Craig Downey is actually currently a captain at Genoa Township. He's a former student of mine when I was teaching at Hocking 20-some years ago. He brings to the table experience. He's a fire instructor, a fire inspector, he's a paramedic, and he's also a full-time firefighter. You may notice on here that his rate is being brought in higher than the other people, and that is because of his experience. We felt it was only fair that we offered that to him with your approvals. The other two full-timers, we've already chit-chatted with them about that, and they understand completely why we're doing what we're doing, and they're good with that. So I'd like to approve the hiring of firefighter Craig Downey. He'll be starting January 27th on payroll. We would like to swear them all in December 17th if it's possible.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
To approval to hire full-time probationary firefighter Jacob Waite. Jake was a previous employee of us, of the department. To keep his personal life, he wanted to deal with some things. He's dealt with them. We've talked with him in length about coming back and not leaving again. And we feel very confident that he's in it for the long haul now. So we'd like approval to hire him as well.
Have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
Approval to hire full-time probationary firefighter Masaki Campbell. We just went through a provisional period where we established a different position for people who were in medic school. And through medic school, we would pay for their medic school. We would pay them at a lower rate, but we get them into the pension system, gets them into our system. Masaki has been a part-time firefighter here for about a year. She is currently in medic school and will have her medic card by December of next year. This is a great deal. It's a great savings to the township. It's a great way to get a good quality employee. Plus, we're paying for the school, so we can keep a good eye and make sure they're getting through school okay. And so I'd like approval to hire her.
Motion approved.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I'd like approval to hire permanent part-time probationary employee firefighter Daniel Watt. He will be a permanent part-time person. We are switching, when we switched to the 48, 96-hour shifts, we kept our part-timers on 24-hour shifts. The officers came to me and said, can we reduce the number of permanent part-timers and have them work 48 hours because we need to get more consistency on shift, consistency with training, consistency with them being here. And Chief McKean and I discussed it at length, and we absolutely agree that we feel our officers are correct in that. So he and the next two individuals will be working 48 hours on. They'll have a week off, and then they'll work another 48-hour shift, and they'll be assigned to the same shift.
Motion to approve.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carried.
The same with approval to hire permanent part-time probationary firefighter Dawson Moreland. Same thing applies.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
And the last permanent part-timer on the list, Grace Vernelli.
Okay,
Same conditions apply to her.
motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor, aye.
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 And then last but not least, a part-time pickup firefighter, Nathaniel Cochran. He's very fresh out of school. We do like to get employees like that to help them build their career, get their foot in the door in fire service. And we think he will be a good addition to our part-time force.
Motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Second. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Motion carried.
So Chief, just for summary, can you tell us how many full-time, how many probationary part-time, permanent part-time and probationary part-time we have?
So we will now have four permanent or four full-time per shift for a total of 12 full-time firefighters. We will have 6 permanent part-time firefighters with 1 per shift, rotating every other week. And then we have a pool of about 20 part-timers now, of which about 5 or 6 are active. So that's why we added Mr. Cochran. The part-time program, as I've watched since I've been here over the years has faded away. They're out to get jobs. They want full-time jobs. So we looked at how can we staff this and sustain it, and that's why we've gone with the direction we have. And I can talk to any of you anytime at length about, the need to have the 5 and what we can do with it and critical tasking and all those other things. But that, Trustee, is why we are where we are.
Yeah. Are they kind of like the substitute teacher?
Pretty much. Well, the part-timers are, yeah. The permanent
Yeah.
part-timers are in really they're part of the team, but the part-timers are substitutes. We have a lot of them that are not working at all. And we did get rid of one last year, and that kind of came back to bite me a little bit. So I've talked with Corey on what we need to do to thin the herd a little bit, and we'll be doing that probably at the January meeting.
Full-time part-timers or the full part-timers that work 48 hours, do they have other positions they work?
Yes, some of them do. Some of them work part-time elsewhere. And we have a couple that are actually in medic school that we're assigning them to shifts so that they'll be here, and where their medic school falls, they'll be able to be off at medic school on their own.
Pose a
On their own.
conflict with their
No.
other?
No, sir. No, actually, we have a couple that we've had, and we're looking to do it with Berlin too. If you work both places, we don't buy them gear. We rent their gear, which is much cheaper, but we will share the cost with the other department of their gear. Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Chief, did you see the email from Jason about comments from ODOT?
Yes, I saw it this afternoon. I'll be talking with him tomorrow. The biggest thing on there is what they claim and why they put the thing in.
I understand.
Nobody's been there during rush hour.
Correct.
Nobody sees how it's backed up.
No, I agree. And then if there was hash marks and you needed to go northbound, I don't know what you would do.
Oh, we'll get
You're
to
gonna
it.
have opposing traffic. Well,
But you're right. I mean, it doesn't matter. And it's consistent. And actually, sometimes in the morning now, I've noticed it doesn't affect southbound, but southbound north of Center Village is getting backed up now. So,
yeah,
yes, so I'll be with him kind of.
I did talk to Jason a little bit this afternoon also, and we've come up with a little bit of a plan of
okay.
trying to ask our members to get some pictures. Cause
That'd be great.
DOT will be much more responsive when we can prove it to them.
Yeah, that'd be
This,
great.
in fact, is a problem.
Yeah.
For the sake of our audience, can you talk about what you're talking about or identify that specifically?
As we have grown already and gotten busier, usually from about 3:30 to maybe 5 o'clock, northbound traffic is backed up past the station. And they like to stop right in front of the station. So what we've asked ODOT to do is to place hash marks across and signs, in theory, that they won't block the box. But they came back and so we don't know why you need that. We put stop signs in. And my immediate answer in my head was because you put the stop signs in, which are safe, but now it's getting backed up. So we will work with this, but that's what we're trying to do so we can get out safe.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, there's a few comments from Jason from maintenance. The Trenton Road Culvert project's been completed by Delaware County. We contracted with Delaware County to install that culvert over on the east end before you get to Miller Paul. The asphalt repair on southbound Green Cook at the stop sign there at Center Village has been done. The drain tile on Covan at 9930 has been jetted and is successfully open now. And he's replaced the cleanouts with solid caps to prevent silt and so forth from blocking that. He met with Mr. John Huffman, Delaware County engineer, and they updated the Harlem Township 26 road improvement wish list. And let's see. Restrooms have been winterized and closed November 3rd. Basketball court was restriped after the resealing was performed. HTH is working on installing Christmas lights. The cemetery's caught up on maintenance work there. The garden club cleaned out the front flower beds at the Grange. The dying cherry tree in a large parking area has been removed by Jason and Bill. So he's all caught up on that. Zoning?
All right, moving along pretty good. I'll try not to slow things down, but I do have a few things that I want to bring to light. Right now, we're below last year. We're at 67 permits as opposed to 75 last year. We currently have a couple violations of businesses operating in residential areas. The Gorsuch Road property that I thought we were going to be able to get settled down has grown into something more because what I was told, there's some discrepancy as to it's not somebody on that property just doing work for the person. All the neighbors around there are saying there's a business there. That's not what I'm being told. been trying to catch one of those trucks going in and out of there to try to get a phone number or a business off the side of it. Haven't been able to get that done. Was able to talk to, if you can call it that, I was able to try to communicate to somebody pulling out of there one day, but I could not understand it. So, talking with Corey, Corey said that we can't proceed with anything else until we get some solid evidence. Either I can get it, whatever way I can possibly get it, or the neighbors find something that can prove there's a business there. So I'm still working on that. I want to keep you updated on that. Moving on to the other one, the Kaposia property over here on Center Village Road. That is it's a poor ball business, obviously. Been going back and forth on that. He had mentioned that he's going to come in to talk to the BZA and try to get some kind of a non-conforming use with the BZA. But now Scott Messer came in to talk to me a couple weeks ago, and we discussed what he needed to do. And what we left it at was he was going to go to the BZA and try to ask them to turn my violation over. And I said, well, it's up to you. Go ahead and go in there and ask them, and whatever they decide, they decide. Well, he's decided just to go straight to Corey and try to talk to Corey and give him his spiel that the residents are all okay with it and that he feels like I should just withdraw my violation. And I told Corey I'm not going to do that because the violation isn't because of his business being there. The violation became, if you want to just go non-conforming. Okay, non-conforming. He's trying to say that Matt said that he could expand his business when he built that second building. I've already talked with Matt, and I know that Matt did not tell him to do that. So he's trying to say he's got a non-conforming business there. It's operating as normal. But the violation came when he started beating on those forms and making all the noise and power washing till midnight, which became a more severe non-conforming use. You guys follow me on that? So I said, no, Corey, I'm not going to do that. So I'm not going to pull the violation from him. And I went out and talked to the neighbors, and the neighbors said, one of them said he didn't have a problem with it, but one of them said he absolutely is still doing it because they're telling us they aren't beating on the forms or anything else. And when the other neighbor said, yes, they certainly are doing it. So I'm going to kick it to the BZA because I'm not going to withdraw it. I heard that giggle. And the BZA can deal with them as they want. If they overturn it, they overturn it. I have no say over that, but that's my stance just because you're probably going to get a call from somebody from Delaware County Prosecutor's Office because it was a pretty interesting discussion with Corey today. We've got a few other nuisance properties. They're actually surprisingly getting cleaned up. The one on Miller Paul that I've been dealing with for about a year, and they've got some issues of family health and everything. They're actually, I resent a violation letter, and they're actually getting it cleaned up, and it's making some actual gains. So still working with them on that. Kaiser Property still shows no owner. And Hatch Road, I talked with Chip Carpenter about it. He said they're not going to he could not get permission to tear that house down. They're just going to get it sold. And probably whoever buys it's going to tear it down. Be my guess. Maybe not. Maybe they already have. As far as the zoning commission, I really don't have anything going through the zoning commission. The BZA training is going to happen in January when they do their reorg meeting because I think there's going to be a readjustment of the chairman and the co-chair, maybe. And then just some general information on the iWork software. Had the initial setup meeting on 11/17 on that, and the implementation is going forward. Right now, I'm getting all of our forms, all of my letters, everything sent over to the guy that's working with iWorks, and we're going to implement it in January after he starts. He's getting all the forms set up and everything that I want done. And Chief's going to get me some information, and Jason's also going to get me some information, and I'm going to have their permits and stuff and fees stuck into the iWork system. So that's going to move forward.
Mike, has Chip indicated when he is going to put it up for auction?
No, he said and I just talked to him about 3 days ago, and he said, no, it's not going to be torn down, but it is going on the auction. So he said he'd let me know when it went on. So that's it.
Good.
You guys have anything?
No,
All right.
thank you. Communications, or any comments or report?
I can say that the branding committee met with
Okay.
Crowd Communications last week in their initial meeting. Great input from several residents in the community. a couple of employees from Cryle will be traveling around the township in December to kind of get a feel for the township as a whole. And then we'll be reconvening that committee in January. And I think the goal is by the end of the first quarter that we've achieved a brand and branding.
The young gentleman is the intern.
He's
Has there been a map of work he's gonna do?
Yeah, Lindsay's done a great job. They had a teleconference. They outlined his schedule and his scope of work. And that's been established. I know he has some projects with the Parks Committee, I think with the fire department, and other things. Ashley, you could probably speak to that better than I can. I don't know. But she has she's kind of taken that bull by the horns and kind of will act as his accountability person.
Lindsay?
Yeah.
Okay, there needs to be, actually, he's gonna have time off towards the end of the year, and that's kind of when he's working, so we have to work accessibility for him to get in and
Copy.
so forth.
Yeah.
That needs to be work coordinated with Ashley.
Yeah.
So if you could,
To ask about, was if we need to put a resolution to give him access to the building kind of thing, or that's something that you guys can just allow that way if he's coming in when we're not here? He's more than welcome to use Valor
And
Express.
can firefighters help him get back here without us having to give him a key?
Yes, where are you going to put his workstation?
I think Lindsay had thought about that.
Okay.
And I can't recall if it's where Mike is or where Ashley
The only
is.
open desk is in my office.
In your office.
In
Yeah.
Valor's desk,
It would be in Ashley's office. Is that accessible?
not by them.
Well, we don't even know, I don't think at this point what he's gonna be doing.
Yeah, we do. It's
We-
totally laid out.
Something that he needs to be doing in this
I
building.
think so. Yeah. I think that the assumption is he's working on site. Yeah. So we'll solve that problem.
Yeah.
We don't need to worry about it tonight, but
Yeah.
we've identified it and we'll solve it.
Yeah,
I
we
know
can,
Lindsay-
yeah, we're just gonna figure out how to get his work.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I know Lindsay had sent an email out that she was working on his like workflow and
Yep.
what to expect each week. I haven't really seen
Copy.
since then.
How many weeks is it?
70 hours over the course of his Christmas break.
2 week? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's over the course of 3 or 4 weeks, not necessarily 40 hours a
It
week.
was, I think, January or December 15th to January 15th.
Yeah, because you've got holidays in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
okay. Just wanted to try to get that cleared up, so.
Yep.
Okay. Dave, you got something for the parks? Okay, make it quick.
At the November America 250 Ohio Delaware County Committee meeting, which I attended, it was announced by the chair of the committee that it's my understanding from this, I think it's a different language than I speak. The Delaware County, Ohio Trustees Association, chapter of the Ohio Trustees Association, is hosting the December meeting dinner for the Ohio Trustees Association at the Stratford Barn over there just south of Delaware City. Everybody knows about that. Okay. There was lots and lots of stories being told, and it was kind of pandemonium, but my understanding is that the dinner is really quite a spread. And all, I don't have any detailed information on this. I'm hoping that you are getting information on this coming to you. At any rate, it's an the America 250 people are going to be giving presentations for this. And part of this is to try to find a way that we can
get collaboration and cooperation among townships and especially in the counties. And get counties working together so that we have bigger projects that are reaching out to more people and projects more likely to get funding support from state and federal levels. So I'm hoping you're hearing about the meeting, and I would encourage you to have somebody there. I think it'd be a good way for people to sort of start networking here among the Township Association. One of the things that I think is got a little bit of traction at this point, we are recognizing the grave sites of Revolutionary War veterans here in Harlem Township, throughout Delaware County, throughout Ohio. And part of this is, we're seeing that a number of the grave sites are in really poor condition. Their families are long gone. And there's really nobody taking care of these in most of the cases out there. And we're going to see this repeating. History will repeat itself as we get to the landmarks for the Mexican War, for the Civil War, and so forth in coming decades. And we're also going to have larger and larger cemeteries with greater and greater needs. I think this is an opportunity to work at convincing the Ohio Township Association to convene a forum. And I would think end of 2026 or early 2027. Okay, I don't want to get this in the way of, all of the different kinds of celebrations here for the 2050, for the 250. I just want us to get to the point where people talk about the future of cemeteries and townships, where there isn't a dedicated stream of funding to help maintain them. Because if these places really are as important as we're finding out that they are, it becomes imperative for me to think that we need to start developing plans on how to have cemeteries that can be there 250 years from now.
One question. The condition of the Revolutionary War graves in Harlem Township, how many are there? And
12.
There are 12. And what's your opinion about their condition?
I think there's probably 8 that it's difficult to read, but you can. There's a couple that are broken, and there's 4 where it's just almost impossible at this point in time to read what is there. We have some reads of them that go back that seem to give us a little bit of confidence. The headstones in several places are tilting. They're not going to straighten themselves. They're going to continue that.
So,
but
why wouldn't we make it a priority to restore these 12 grave sites for the 250th celebration as a township?
It's a really big undertaking to do that. It's a massive amount of work, and it's several $1,000s each if you get people volunteering. I would be happy to go that route, but I would also ask the question, if we have headstones that are difficult to read at this point in time, if we replace them with a new one, okay, but why at this point should we just put something in that will only last 100 or 100, 200 years? Are there other ways of managing cemeteries so that the headstones can at least appear to people to be, very sturdy, and the lettering is clearly seen, and all of this that doesn't involve necessarily the technology of the 16th century?
I know of another township in Licking County that they had a cemetery. The stones were quite old. They were tablet stones, and they couldn't be read, broken, and so forth. They course, knew who was in each grave. They were still able to determine that. They put up a common stone with all those names. It's not necessarily on anyone's grave. It's kind of at the front of the little cemetery, but maybe that's something that could be thought about.
Yes.
It would at
yes.
least give acknowledgement of those folks being there.
Yeah, I'm very much interested in what the conditions are around Delaware County and across the whole state of Ohio, but that starts to get to be a ginormous sort of thing. But it's the kind of thing the Ohio Township Association, OTA, does on a routine basis. They have annually a number of workshops, forums, these sorts of things, and they're it's part of, you know, just the way they operate. So if we can tap into that and help and get help from them altogether, I think this has a capability of really getting a conversation started where people are starting to think about lots of different alternatives and thinking about different ways we can manage cemeteries rather. And I think there's a great promise that could put us on a path that's constructive.
So I concur with you on the macro picture. I think this is a unique opportunity to focus on those 12 particular graves that we steward because of the 250th anniversary for future generations. 10 years from now, there won't necessarily be a cause to do that as there is in 26. And so if we partner with OTA or whatever, a common stone, I think it's a good idea. What is the best mechanism to preserve that heritage that we have for future generations in our Revolutionary War graves in particular?
Yes, agreed.
Yes.
Administration, I belong to an organization called Daughters of Union Veterans of the Civil War. The Veterans Administration actually provided new headstones if you could prove that the soldier was there. It was a cemetery in Pennsylvania. I don't know if the Veterans Administration would do it for the Revolutionary War, but that is something that Veterans Administration did.
It'd be worth inquiring about.
Yes.
The leader of the VA is a former Air Force chaplain.
Okay.
Have a
So
conversation.
are you going to make that call?
I could reach out to him and have a conversation. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Let me explore that a little bit. Yeah, thanks. Mike.
It's
Good.
that there's going to be a lot more demand because we are really nationwide. You know, the hundreds of thousands on the eastern seacoast, this sort of thing. There's a great demand for this sort of stuff, and it probably will take years to work through things, but we can start with the first couple that are really ones that we want to get to a better condition soon. That would be really good. The other thing that the Delaware County Veterans Association is doing that I think is really can be beneficial and really get people talking about this. They're going to have 3 monuments for soldiers from the Revolutionary War who came to Ohio, were living in Ohio and Delaware County, whose graves we have not been able to identify, we've not been able to find. Cemeteries have been destroyed. There's lots of different reasons for this in a lot of cases, but we know we have many Revolutionary War veterans who we really have good reason to believe were buried in Ohio, and we can't find their graves. And so in Delaware County, there's going to be 3 monuments erected by the Veterans Administration, Delaware County Veterans, at their expense. And these are going to be, I think, substantial things that I think really are going to give people a sense that this is not just something to try to hide from people. So,
Thank you.
thank
Anything from the HTH tonight, Joni?
Still working on the lights. We've got a few more to put out around the shelter house. And Winter in the Park is what, the second Saturday in December.
Okay. Any of the public have any comments? Yeah.
Steve Eisenbrown, 4909 Harlem Road. I guess my comment is, or question is, kind of now that we know who's going to be serving future years as trustees, and I sat through the strategy meeting session tonight again, and I think they're doing good work, and I think, but I'm frustrated knowing how to stay up to speed on what is going on with regard to our conversations with surrounding communities. I don't know who owns that process within the township, if that's Trustee Trainer or if that's Trustee Trainer and Holly, or I'd like to see a laid out work plan with dates of, expected accomplishments of, what is Pete Griggs putting together a draft of a document that we would go to Columbus with, or if it's going to be a three-way, would also go to New Albany. I feel like, and I guess I don't know because I don't have access to knowing the process, but I'd like to know who's running the process, what the work plan is for that process. Are we getting something to react to as a community? Or do you need a working team of people to work on that? But I'm afraid this thing is just, kind of laying in the weeds a little bit. And we are on the clock. I mean, I know you hear me say that on a number of topics, but I know you, John, have said, we would really like to see what we could get underway here before the Columbus elections. Because you don't know who's going to get in and if the tenor is going to change. So if we think there's something possible to happen there, I'd like to know how we're going to have a plan to start working that issue.
Yeah, I think that's fair, Steve. And I think that it should be a regular part of our agenda because this is very apropos to what we're doing. A couple of updates, and I should have put this on tonight's agenda. There are two lines of effort. One, Adam has been working with Galena
Right.
to draft a CETA, and Columbus has joined that effort. And the reason Columbus has joined the effort is they want to be a part of any conversation that involves Hoover Reservoir. And Adam can speak more to that than I can.
Okay.
The other line of effort is we have had a conversation with New Albany and with Columbus, and both are very interested in a tripartite agreement. And in fact, Brian Clark from Columbus had reached out and said, hey, let's schedule this. I responded, didn't hear back from him, sent him an email just today and said, Brian, yeah, let's try and get this meeting together. I think probably Columbus will host that. But all parties are interested in moving forward with a CETA agreement.
Well, who's going to draw up a draft of a CETA? I mean, we've had this conversation, guys, multiple times that until you put something under somebody's nose to react to, we're just blowing hot air here. And so
I finish my
go ahead. Well, that's fine.
I talked to Pete for an hour a week or so ago, and we went bullet by bullet, and we used the Jersey Township CETA with New Albany as the model, and we walked through it in determining what are the things that we would include in a conversation with Columbus and New Albany, and what would we not include. And we walked through that and feel really good about where we are. I'll give you one example that with a JED agreement, neither Columbus nor New Albany are interested in this financially. And so we would use the 2.5% that Columbus offers, and we would ask for 2% and give 0.25% to both Columbus and New Albany. That would be one example of a detail point. And of course, these would include non-annexation clauses as well. But more than happy to have Pete come to a meeting in December. If we feel like we've got a knowledge gap here and talk about this, that may be very helpful. Pete is very positive about what's happening right now.
Well, that's great. None of us know what's going on.
I don't know how much more information I can give you than that.
Well, I'd like to see a draft of a CETA agreement.
So I would go.
You know, show us something to react to.
Yeah, Jersey Township CETA is online, and you can look at that. And you can also look at the CETA agreement between Galena and
Berkshire.
Berkshire is online right now. And so you can see what these look like. And I would encourage you to do that. And
Okay.
ours will not be radical.
I can do that.
Yeah.
I'd like to know kind of who's doing what when. What is your working timetable that we're going to have a draft CETA agreement that okay, if you're trying to get with Clark, that's great, and then what happens? I mean, what is the cadence? I don't see any documentation or cadence towards moving this thing down the road.
So I've expressed to both parties that the goal would be within the first 2 quarters, we have ink on paper. I would imagine that when New Albany and Columbus and Harlem get in the room for the first time together in the next few weeks, that probably won't be with a CETA draft on the table, but we'll be talking in glittering generalities about what that might include, but then would have Pete create that document for us in the next meeting so we can begin going line by line.
Okay, who will be in that meeting?
I think that I'll be in that meeting. I think Holly will be in that meeting and Pete will be in that meeting.
And nobody else from the township?
At this point, correct.
You don't need any help?
I don't believe so.
Possibility.
It's pretty straightforward, actually.
Is there a possibility of utilizing Mike? I mean, he was here from the get-go on the layouts of the zoning and overlays, and
it's
might be helpful.
Potentially, although zoning is not necessarily apropos to this conversation.
I understand that, but
yeah. It's not being done in secret.
Well, it's hard to know. I mean, I'm not accusing it as being done in secret. I'm just not seeing anything being done, is my point.
There's quite a bit being done.
I think then you need to report out on it more.
Copy. Got it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anything else? Lisa, did you get copied on the email? I think, yeah, you did, from John, about the bill for
You can sign it, all 3 of you sign and date it, and I will send a back email and back to Jason.
Okay, well, this is what he sent today. The email copied us on was the invoice for this year's work, and then I've got this to sign for next year's work.
Right.
Okay, so we'll sign next year's and.
You need next year fine.
Okay.
And I'll email it to John and.
All right. Okay, very good. Any other business? Any need for executive?
No.
No.
Move
We've
to
got a little
adjourn.
bit of, sorry.
Move to adjourn.
Okay,
Second.
we got a little bit of homework to do here signing, but
Yeah.
other than that,
That's
I'll second the motion. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
yeah.
Hey, Bruce, before you go,
No, that's it.